Dark and Light Pokemon. Debuting in the Team Rocket set, Dark Pokemon are alternative forms of existing Pokemon with a sinister twist. These cards tend to deal high amounts of damage while having fewer hit points than their regular counterparts. This is due to their rough upbringing at the hands of Team Rocket. Meanwhile, Light Pokemon later debuted as a counterpart to Dark cards in the Neo Destiny expansion set. These cards sport friendlier artwork with radiant surroundings. In addition, they tend to have higher hit points than normal with powers that focus on supporting other Pokemon. These cards form an interesting yin and yang dynamic that has been replicated a few times over the years. Trainer, Owner, Pokemon. These cards showcase Pokemon that are associated with a specific trainer or organization. The pairings displayed in these cards can range from iconic, such as Brock's Onix, to obscure, like Team Aqua's Grimer. Visually, these cards look nearly indistinguishable from typical cards, except for the name and icon that serve as a reminder of who the Pokemon belongs to. This mechanic has popped up sporadically throughout the card game's history, including variations on the concept, such as SP Pokemon in the Platinum expansion and Team Plasma Pokemon in the Black and White Plasma Storm set. Shining Pokemon. These flashy cards made their debut in the Neo Revelations set and showcase the iconic palette-swapped shiny forms of Pokemon. Much like their video game counterparts, Shining Pokemon are generally rare, and as a result, these cards are highly valued amongst fans and collectors for their classic art and striking designs. Shiny Pokemon are a somewhat frequent inclusion within Pokemon card sets, but Shining Pokemon will always have the distinction of being their first iteration in card form. Crystal Pokemon. These cards debuted in the Aquapolis expansion and are known for their dazzling gold and silver holo patterns. Each of these Pokemon were colorless or normal type and could temporarily change their type based on the energy placed on them via their Crystal type Pokebody ability. Each card has a special white background intermixed with colors associated with the Pokemon's attack powers. Pokemon that were made into Crystal cards belong to a very exclusive club, as only 9 Crystal Pokemon were ever released. EX Pokemon. Introduced in the EX Ruby and Sapphire set, these cards have been around on and off for a majority of the Pokemon trading card game's lifespan. Known for their very powerful attacks and high hit point totals, these cards have often been a staple in competitive play. Initially, these cards had simple holo patterns with fairly typical art, and were distinguished by a sleek silver border and had an EX next to the Pokemon's name. Later releases of EX cards sported flashier artwork that sometimes broke out of the frame or encapsulated the entire card. Beginning in the XY expansion, Mega EX cards began appearing, with attack names appearing within the art in different languages depending on the region. EX cards made their triumphant return in the Scarlet and Violet expansion, this time with another new variation in the form of Terra EX cards. Terra EX cards have a rainbow Terra icon beneath their hit point total, and showcase terrestrialized Pokemon. With the release of the Obsidian Flame set, certain Terra Pokemon displayed non-traditional typing if the Pokemon was classified as a type-shifted Terra Pokemon. Over the years, we've seen the EX switch from lowercase to capital EX, and then back again. These iconic cards have certainly had staying power. By the way, be sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more videos just like this one. Thanks! Pokemon Star. Debuting in the EX Team Rocket Returns expansion, these cards are yet another take on shiny Pokemon. These cards are easily identified by the gold star presented next to the Pokemon's name. The artwork for these cards is notable as it is not contained within the border. Obtaining these cards was quite challenging at the time of release due to low pull rates, and as a result, they have become incredibly sought after. Delta Species. Upon first seeing these cards, you might assume that they are fake due to the featured Pokemon having abnormal typing compared to normal. But rest assured, Delta Species Pokemon are an official creation of the Pokemon Company. Introduced in the EX Delta Species set, these cards give familiar Pokemon a new twist by swapping their original typing with a new one. These cards are clearly labeled as Delta Species next to the Pokemon's name and feature art of each Pokemon with their new elemental abilities. The Pokemon Company would later revisit the concept of Pokemon with multiple types with the release of dual-type Pokemon in the Steam Siege expansion. Pokemon Level X. First appearing in the Diamond and Pearl expansion, these cards served as a powered-up version of regular forms of Pokemon. These cards had striking 3D illustrations that reached out of the card's frame and gold accents to complement the art. Later 4th generation expansions included Level X cards with special trainers attached, such as gym leaders or Team Galactic members. Pokemon Prime. Beginning with the Hard Gold and Soul Silver expansion of the trading card game, Pokemon Prime cards made their way onto the scene. These cards have several visual effects that differentiate them from other cards, such as gold name text and spiky gold and silver borders. The artwork of Pokemon Prime cards typically showcase 3D Pokemon with very intense and serious expressions, which is quite the departure from the typically friendly creatures we've come to expect from the world of Pokemon. Pokemon Legend. The second card variant debuting in the Heart Gold and Soul Silver expansion of the trading card game, Pokemon Legend were special 2-part cards showcasing the iconic legendary Pokemon of the franchise in highly detailed artwork. The illustrations on these cards are some of the largest in the game's history, with the artwork shoving the usual attack powers aside. Later versions of Legends cards would contain 2 legendary Pokemon at once and would no longer be divided between 2 cards. Full Art cards. Starting with the Black and White expansion, full art cards began appearing in the Pokemon trading card game. These cards are generally higher rarity variations of cards within a set that have art fully encompassing the card. Both Pokemon and Pokemon Trainer cards have been made into full art cards, with text placed directly onto the card. Full art cards have remained a staple of the game since their introduction, and secret rare variants with golden or rainbow artwork have also been released. Ace Spec cards. Making their debut in the Boundaries Crossed expansion, Ace Spec cards are incredibly powerful trainer cards with the Ace Spec label featured prominently on the sides of the card. Compared to typical trainer cards, these cards typically have 3D artwork in front of unusual backgrounds. During their initial run, Ace Spec cards used gray as their primary color, but after making their return in the Temporal Forces expansion, these cards ditched the gray for a hot pink makeover. Ancient Trait cards. Debuting in the Primal Clash set, Ancient Trait cards featured Pokemon with improved attributes detailed at the top of each card. The artwork on these cards extends beyond the usual frame and fades out into a gradient color of the Pokemon's type. Ancient Trait cards stuck around for several Gen 6 sets and showcased many fan-favorite Pokemon in dynamic artwork. Pokemon Break cards. These blinged out cards began circulating in the Breakthrough expansion set. Break cards serve as an additional evolutionary form of a Pokemon that were placed horizontally on top of the evolving Pokemon's artwork. Doing this would grant the player additional powers and hit points. Break cards are some of the most extravagantly illustrated cards ever made, with each Pokemon depicted as a golden 3D model against a white holographic diamond background. EX Pokemon. First arriving in the Sun and Moon expansion set, these cards were similar to EX cards but with a powerful twist. Pokemon GX cards each had a powerful GX attack that could be unleashed once per game. The artwork of these cards is similar to that of the EX cards, with a metallic blue box highlighting the GX attack. Meanwhile, EX cards of Ultra Beasts Pokemon sported metallic red accents. Many GX cards also had alternate rainbow artwork that was reserved for secret rare versions of the card. Prism Star. Introduced in the Ultra Prism set, Prism Star cards have sleek designs with black borders that contrast the metallic rainbow accents placed throughout the card. Their namesake, Prism Star, is featured in the text box of the card and appears next to the Pokemon's name as well. Various trainer and stadium cards also received the Prism Star treatment. DX Tag Team Pokemon. These variations of the usual GX cards debuted in the Team Up expansion and included 2 or more Pokemon on the same card. GX Tag Team cards have metallic yellow corners on the top left and bottom right portions of the card, and have the phase Tag Team emblazoned beneath the names of the Pokemon shown within the card. The pairings within these cards gave rise to some impressively powerful stats, with equally impressive artwork to boot. Pokemon V/VMAX. The Pokemon Sword and Shield expansion introduced Pokemon V cards to the franchise. These cards have a large black and silver V extending from the top left corner. V cards display art that covers the majority of the card and overlaps their sleek black borders. VMAX cards made their debut alongside V cards, with VMAX cards showcasing the oversized form of Pokemon known as Dynamax and Gigantamax evolutions. V and VMAX cards follow similar design principles, however VMAX cards include swirling multicolored backgrounds. V-Union. A limited collection of cards known as V-Union cards were produced during the Sword and Shield era. V-Union cards were hued Pokemon divided amongst 4 separate cards that formed a giant illustration when placed together. When fully assembled, these cards were capable of dealing tremendous amounts of damage with multiple different attacks at their disposal. Rapid, Single, and Fusion Strike. Sword and Shield's 5th expansion gave rise to a new offensive-centric style of card. Rapid and Single Strike cards made their debut in the Battle Style set, while Fusion Strike cards appeared later on in the expansion of the same name. Despite looking like your average Pokemon card, these strike cards each focused on a unique attacking strategy that was emblazoned beneath their hit point total. Rapid Strike cards focused on using multiple methods to deal damage, such as switching out an opponent's Pokemon, whereas Single Strike cards prioritized dealing a swift knockout. Fusion Strike cards mixed these two strategies together, while also specializing in weakening the opponent. The Strike cards were a unique group of cards designed to work best with other game elements of the same archetype. Amazing Rare Pokemon. Introduced in the Vivid Voltage set, these cards showcased some fan-favorite legendary Pokemon with expressive art and colorful background illustrations that extended slightly past the border. Amazing Rare Pokemon are one of the least produced card types ever made by the Pokemon Company, with only 9 of these cards ever being released. Pokemon V-Star. Introduced in the Brilliant Stars expansion, Pokemon V-Star cards were the final iteration of the V-card concept. These cards flaunt a white and gold V symbol protruding out of the top left corner, paired with a pearlescent background. V-Star Pokemon served as a powerful evolutionary form of V Pokemon, with each card wielding a special V-Star power. These attacks or abilities could only be used once per game, and were highlighted by a dark intergalactic background illuminated by a star. Radiant Pokemon. Yet another form of shiny Pokemon made their way into the game when Astral Radiance released. Each of these Pokemon bear the title of Radiant next to their name, and each card features a special crisscross foil pattern. Radiant Pokemon are a subset on the smaller side, with only 16 total cards being produced. Ancient and Future Pokemon. Beginning with the Paradox Rift expansion, Ancient and Future cards began appearing in the TCG. Ancient cards show off the ancient Paradox forms of well-known Pokemon, with unique characteristics such as a rocky ancient logo in the top right, and a third of the card's background being comprised of an ancient rock formation. Meanwhile, Future cards capture the future Paradox forms of familiar Pokemon. Future cards set themselves apart by having a boldly illuminated Future logo in the top right of the card, along with the final third of the background fading into a pixelated pattern. Some trainer cards also received the Future and Past treatment. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, please consider giving it a like and sharing it with someone who you think would enjoy it. Let me know in the comments what you thought of the video, and please tell me which card type is your favorite. Please subscribe to my channel if you're interested in seeing more videos like this one. I'm Dak Attack, you are you, and I hope to see you again soon.